Hey there, everybody. Hello, recruiters and founders of recruiting and staffing agencies. I'm talking to you. And in this video today, or in this live, and if you have questions, feel free to pop them in comments, and I'll share them and answer them as much as I can. Making sure that we're going live here. Here we are. I see myself on my LinkedIn. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to hire recruiters for your third-party agency. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about, let's discuss why this is so important, especially if you're looking at your first hires at the beginning of your agency, but it's important all the way through. But when you're first starting your business, you're creating company culture, and your people are also your first people, your first employees are creating your company culture, whether you like it or not. So a lot of it does come from you, but once you start hiring employees, that is, you're showing your current company, yourself, and your future company what is going to be tolerated, what's going to be celebrated, and how you're going to build your business. So your first hires are incredibly important. Let's talk about recruiters and what people get wrong. So one thing that people get wrong is looking for a certain number of years of experience recruiting. Now, let's face it, it's hard to find good people. There's a lot of good people out there, but it is hard to find good fits. And the thing about insisting that your recruiters have a certain amount of experience recruiting really doesn't make sense. And when I built my business, I built my businesses that grew to 8 figures. I sold my first business for $28 million for doing title insurance staffing. And the way that we hired recruiters is we did not look for people with specific recruiting experience. Occasionally we did. And then as we grew, we did hire people hired some people from recruiting agencies, but we hired people who knew the business that we were recruiting in. So we did title insurance people. Like, who knows what that is? Most people don't. I didn't really understand it even when we started. So we hired people who had experience in doing the jobs that we were recruiting for. It made a lot of sense because they thoroughly understood and could talk to the hiring managers about, and candidates really having an in-depth knowledge. Now, that's not to say people can't get an in-depth knowledge if they haven't worked in that industry. I've done tech recruiting where the recruiters are not engineers, but why not hire engineers? I don't know. But who have been able to understand and talk the talk. But there are also, there's recruiting agency that I know of that's been created by engineering managers and engineers, and I think they're doing pretty well. So the problem is this expectation of, if somebody comes in with, say, like 3 to 5 years of agency recruiting experience, and don't even get me started on hiring from talent. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I'll tell you why I don't recommend hiring people who have been in-house in talent for agency recruiting. It's a completely different thing. Okay, so recruiting is not something that needs a degree. It needs a personality. It is something that it requires a sense of urgency. And I'm talking about third-party recruiting agencies here. I'm not talking about internal recruiters in talent. I feel like there's popcorn in my tooth, but I don't think there is. Okay. Okay. So how do you do it? So you find people who are not recruiters, and you look for their personalities, and you look for the people who are driven and motivated. Agency recruiting is very entrepreneurial. It's generally commission-based, and that's the difference between internal recruiters and agency recruiters. Agency recruiters literally are like eating what they kill. It is not chill at all. It's stressful. Deals are constantly falling apart, and they're generally have at least 50% of their pay is commission, counting on if these deals are going through or not. It's not the case if people are internal and working in talent. So it's a very different kind of mindset and kind of personal motivation that you're looking for. So here's how to figure it out. Okay, so when you have an interview, instead of asking about their years of experience, because honestly, it doesn't mean that much, ask them these questions. Okay, and I also believe in having a tight interview process. If you don't, and usually recruiters are not so great at hiring for ourselves, because honestly, recruiters we're used to selling people, and we're used to looking at all of their good qualities instead of being more analytical and critical. So in order to keep your interview process more objective, do these things, ask these 3 questions. So the first question is, maybe there's 4 questions. Okay, the first question is, what are your career goals? And if they say, and I've had interviews like this before, if they say, I really want to work in-house in talent, to me, that's a no-go, because that is saying, like, I am not an in-house. Like, they're not going to have that. Like, what they're saying is, I want to use you as a stepping stone to get agency recruiting experience, so then I can move on to a job that I actually want. Okay, so that's a no. Okay, second question is, what are you exceptionally good at, and what do you like to do? And incidentally, these are from the book. Where is it? I don't have it up right here. A book called Who. And if you want to know, you can message me and I'll send you the details. And so you ask, what are you exceptionally good at, and what do you like to do at work? Preface this with, this is going to be a 10 to 15 minute quick pre-screen. If it seems like we'll be a good fit, then we'll follow up with the first interview. This way, this gives you it gives you a more structure around the process, and it also gives you cooling off period so that you can think about the conversation before you decide if you want to move forward. And it keeps it more objective as well to have the same set of questions. So next question is, what are you not so good at, and what don't you like to do at work? And what people watch out, really listen to what they say, because if the red flags that are there are going to be the reasons why they don't work out. Okay, so really listen to their answers. And then the final question I ask in the pre-screen interview is, I'll give them a list of things and ask them to list from level of importance. And I'm going to answer, I see your question, I'm going to answer in a moment. So ask these 3 questions, ask this question, list the things that are important to you, these things in order of importance. So it could be, it's always have compensation in there, work-life balance. It can be different things like flexibility. If they don't have money or compensation in the first 1 or 2, I always want to know about it, because when you're working in an agency, people really do need to be motivated by money. It's just how it goes. And so if they don't say list compensation as one of the top 2, they might say the only acceptable answer to me is when they say, oh, it's because I know that I'll make up for my base with commission because I have confidence in myself. So it's because they're thinking compensation is base salary. So I'm going to put the comments up here. Thank you for your comment. So if any IT professionals would want to start career talent acquisition, would be helpful for everyone. Exactly. Yes. Hello. And that can also be internally as well, right? Like if somebody who has maybe an engineer or a product manager, anyone in tech, yes, it's super helpful. I've always found it helpful, and it's how I have grown my businesses. So thank you for your comment. Okay, so let's see what else. And so I think I covered all of the things, the basics, but the other thing is, as you're building out your team, your recruiters are setting the bar. So sometimes I work with clients who have started off not so great as far as hiring recruiters. That literally sets the bar, and it's so hard. So say you have, like, you're building your team, and say you have maybe 3, 5 recruiters on your team, and they're kind of mediocre. So you're hiring because you know, kind of seat warmers. And look, like, people are the most important part of building your business, and it's really hard. So say you have, like, even you have like 2 or 3 sort of okay recruiters, and then you're like, okay, now we're going to hire, like, we notice this, we're going to really be intentional on hiring good recruiters. It's harder because they're coming in and then they're seeing that this is the standard. Like, it's really easy to kind of lower yourself to that bar. So you want to make sure also that you have KPIs in place, and if the recruiters are not hitting those numbers, if they're not doing the things that they need to do, the activities, then there have to be consequences. Otherwise, it's just a kind of like I don't know, just like a soup of, like, kind of mediocrity, and you don't want to build your business off of that. So let me know if you need personal help building out your team or anything like that in building your agency. And the final thing, and one most important thing, is properly classify your employees. Your recruit, your contractors. No, not that. So your recruiters. And look, so many small businesses misclassify employees. And I hear the argument, but that's going to cut into our profits. Yes, it will. Yes, costs do cut into our profits, but the IRS likes money, and there are laws and regulations. There's a software called Deal. It's DEEL, that can make sure you're compliant even with your offshore people. So make sure that you're properly classifying your employees. Even if you bring someone on, like, as a contractor, they likely not really a 1099 contractor, and it's not up to you. It's up to the laws. Like, there's laws that govern if someone's actually a contractor or not. So just make sure, I'm not a lawyer, but make sure you talk to a lawyer, or that you understand how to properly classify your employees. So to recap, look at people, don't focus solely or even at all on the level of experience. They were, chances are, if they've got 3 years of experience, they were trained by someone else. I mean, how else would they get into recruiting? There's no degree on this. So they got trained by somebody else. So you might as well find really good quality people who fit your culture and your mindset, who are driven. You need driven people in this business, who have a sense of urgency, who you think can get the job done, because literally it's going to take you less than 90 days to really train this person. Okay. So look into the industries that you serve and see where you might be able to find people who maybe they became a technical product manager. Maybe they became a software engineer, but it's not really, they're more social. That is the kind of a person, if you're in tech recruiting, that's the kind of person that I would look for if I was building out a tech recruiting firm. And ask those 3 questions, keep your interview process tight. That will give you a lot of freedom and just save your brain space. There's always freedom and discipline, and also allow you to be more objective in your process. And remember that the people that you're bringing in are setting your culture and are extremely important. This is an extremely important decision to make. And if you make the wrong hire, which happens often, then you can make a change. And let me know if you have any questions. If you need help building out your recruiting agency, I am Diane Prince. I've built several businesses. I have sold staffing agencies. I started, scaled, and sold them. One agency, we're like super niche specific. We built at our height, we were at a $50 million annual run rate. And I've been helping other companies build out their own businesses for several years. So let me know if you're interested also in my recruiting domination program, or if you need any other help. And thanks for watching my LinkedIn Live. Thanks for being here. And just put in the comments any other questions or comments that you have, and I will reply to them, I don't know, when I see them. Okay, bye.